Welcome to Boards, Beer, and BS, Snomie.com podcast where snowboard pros, coaches, and local riders hang out, have a drink, and talk snowboarding. My name is Jedidiah Tan, snowboard coach and founder of Snomie.com. If you like hanging out with other snowboarders and talking about snowboarding, this is the podcast for you. So sit back and enjoy the podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the Snomie.com Snowboard podcast. So this week, here are some topics we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the first woman to land a backside double cork 1080. We're going to talk about the difference between good and great snowboarding. We're going to talk about why some people are able to get that dream snowboard lifestyle and why a lot of others fail and never get to live that dream. We're going to talk about one of the things that has made me a 500 times better snowboarder and how other people can do that as well. So yeah, let's get into the podcast for this week. So just a heads up for those that are looking for links to things I talk about in a podcast. So if I mention a video or I mention something else and you want to check out what I'm talking about, all the links will be in the description below. For those listening to the audio podcast, just go to snomie.com/episode 5. So that's SNOMIE.com/episode 5, the number 5. So that's where you get all the show notes for the podcast basically and be able to follow along with any of the stories I talk about. Okay, so yeah, let's get into the podcast. So first topic, let's talk about Katie Omerud. So she's the first woman to land a backside double cork 1080. So she's only 16 as well, which is pretty crazy. And honestly, I think it's just good. You know, it's good to see that girls are taking that step up in their riding. For a long time when I was first starting out, I always wondered why is there such that separation between girl snowboarders and guy snowboarders as far as the skill level goes, you know. And some people don't like to mention it or don't want to talk about it because, you know, it seems like it might be disrespectful or whatever. But it's the truth. There's that skill gap between women and male riders. And when a lot of people see a girl riding well, they'll say something like, oh, she rides like a guy, you know. And on some level, it's, you know, I never really understood why that was the case, why women were not able to, you know, ride on the same level as guys. And it's not just the physical aspects because, I mean, there's so many kid snowboarders that are 16 males that they have no muscle definition, they aren't strong, but they're able to do huge tricks, you know. And for a long time, I always wondered, like, why that is, you know. It's not the physical aspect that's stopping a lot of female snowboarders from doing those tricks. So, I mean, a while ago, I actually did do a blog post where I asked some of my female Snomie.com readers why they thought it was that girls didn't seem to progress on the same level as guys in snowboarding. Even though now they are catching up, you know, there's a lot of the gap slowly getting smaller, but that gap's still there. And basically the responses I got were a lot of people saying, or a lot of the girls rather saying that a lot of it is just due to the risk factor, and for whatever reason, a lot of girls aren't as happy with that danger element, with getting injured, and a lot of guys would just put that out of their mind and just go for it. But for a lot of girls, they don't have that same mentality for whatever reason. And yeah, but I don't know. I think it's great, you know. I'm happy to see women's snowboarding progressing, you know. And from what I saw, that double cork 1080 looked reasonably clean as well. So yeah, good on Katie Omerud. I really hope I'm saying that name right. Yeah, so, you know, while we're on the topic, let's talk about the difference between good and great snowboarding, because it's something a lot of people don't realize. Because to the average person that goes to the resort maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, they may not really realize what the difference is between someone who's good at snowboarding and someone who's really, really amazing at snowboarding. And for me, the difference at least is just in the total package that they have of your snowboarding and their style as well and how they snowboard. So, I mean, one thing that you'll notice is if you go to any big resort, you go to the terrain park and you watch, say, the medium level kickers and the jumps and the rails, there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of kids who will huck a 540 or huck a 720, but it won't look good, and there's that big difference in that a lot of people are able to do random tricks, one try out of 10 or whatever it is, and it may not look stylish or whatever, but it'll still be the trick, right? But that, for me, that doesn't qualify as like great snowboarding. It's just a hucked trick or whatever. Or outside of the park, if someone can get down a double black diamond powder run or whatever it is, that doesn't necessarily mean they're really good at how they did it, right? But when I think of great snowboarders, I think of people who can have the versatility. Basically, they can do everything and they can make it look stylish, and they can do it on command like 9 times out of 10. So for example, from my own experiences, look, I can do a backside 1080, but am I going to be able to do it 10 times out of 10 and stylish every single time? No. It's a trick I pull out once in a rare situation when I'm feeling it, when things are going well. It's not like I go to the park and throw 1080s back to back all day. But a really good snowboarder in the park will be able to do that. Or like that's the difference I see. There's a lot of park warriors like me who, we have a certain level of skill, but I'm certainly no, I don't know, I'm certainly no Mikkel Bang or Torstein Hogmo who has a million more tricks on demand, and they can do it with style every single time. So at least for me, that's where I see the difference between someone who's good at snowboarding and someone who's great at snowboarding. So yeah, I mean, style is such a big factor. So many people don't think about style enough when they're snowboarding. And I'm not even just talking about parkour, even just in general, the way you ride on a snowboard, you can see the difference between someone who's got good style, who knows what they're doing, and someone who's kind of, they're okay, but they're not all there. So yeah, I mean, that's my take anyway, as far as the difference between good and great snowboarding. So yeah, oh, that's right. I got an interesting email the other day. So the thing about Snomie.com and running the snowboard site is I get a lot of requests from different companies asking me to promote them on the blog, on the podcast, or just asking for promotions in general. And for the most part, it's honestly always horrible, just the way they ask me. Like a lot of the times it'll be, hey, site owner 10568, please promote this awesome snowboard product. It was made by snowboarders for snowboarders. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. And I can tell immediately when I look at those things, like, hey, this guy hasn't put any effort into it. He's just copy and pasted some random message. He hasn't even taken the time to look at my site and even address me by name. He's just sending a general spammy letter. And for those guys, I just hit delete, not even worth my time, because look, I'm not going to promote crappy products anyway. So if they don't take the time to at least look at my site and not spam me with random junk, then I'm not going to promote them, obviously. And you guys know I only promote good products, because the great thing about Snomie now is that I'm not funded by what I promote. I don't have to put an affiliate link to a product to make money, because the site makes money from my snowboard lessons. So yeah, but I got an interesting email from Aura Optics, their new Kickstarter project, and they're doing goggles, basically just neat goggles for snowboarding and skiing. And what stood out for me with them is, one, they actually took the time to read my site and address me by name. So they said, hey Jed, blah blah blah, this is our project, if you could give me a shout out or something, that'd be cool. And you know what, for me, if you took the time to do that, I'm going to read the email. I'm going to see what you're about. And the big thing here was that, unlike a lot of companies that send me notes asking me for promotion or something like that for their company, their product looks pretty solid. I get a lot of products where, man, the amount of times I've had emails from people asking me to promote this new revolutionary binding that rotates, or glow-in-the-dark snowboards, and then I just look at the product in Kickstarter and think, yeah, that is a stupid product, and there's no way I'm promoting that, because no one needs it. And it's just, you know, I mean, you guys have seen the amount of ridiculous Kickstarter projects for snowboarding, just unnecessary equipment that no one ever needs. Then they claim to be MIT engineers have found a new way to snowboard or something ridiculous like that. But when I looked at the Aura Optics Kickstarter project, it was just a bunch of snowboarders with a solid team assembled making what looks to be a pretty good product. So yeah, in that case, you know what, I'm all for it. You guys have a cool product. I'm happy to say, hey, this looks interesting, check it out. And yeah, so I mean, the links all in the show notes if you guys want to check out Aura Optics. I think they're an interesting looking goggle company. So yeah, I'm interested to keep watching them and see how it turns out. So once again, if you guys need any links for any videos like the double cork 1080 thrown by the girl or Aura Optics or anything I mentioned in the show, just go to snomie.com/episode 5. So that's where all the links for the show notes and everything will be. Okay, so, oh man, need some water. Oh, that was delicious. Okay, so here's something that a lot of times comes up, and I'm always not sure how to approach it because I don't want to talk too much about it, but I get so many people who send me emails. They want to know how they can make it, how they can get their snowboard dream, how they can live that dream lifestyle or whatever. And I've made blog posts, I made videos about this in the past, but you know what? When looking at everything, the main thing that I see, okay, if you want that dream snowboard lifestyle, you want to be able to wake up, you want to be able to go snowboarding, you want to be able to come home, and you want to be able to still make a living and make a decent income and get to live your dream lifestyle, snowboard every day or whatever it is you want to do, then, you know, the difference that I see between the people that get to do that and don't is that they take action and they don't like look around and laze around and look for excuses on why they can't get that. And that's the bottom line I see for a lot of people. You know, the amount of people that have ideas or want to do stuff but don't take any action that I meet every day is crazy. You know, I mean, how many, I've lost count of the amount of people in Whistler who I meet and say, hey, you know, I want to make this my lifestyle. You know, they might see my company and might say, hey, you know, you get to snowboard 100, 200 days a year. You get to travel the world. And, you know, I'm recording this from Korea right now just because I can. And it's just, you know, I mean, it's a dream, and I love my job. And I love what I've built with Snomie.com, and other people want to do the same, right? So the problem is, like, even if I give them advice, even if I say, okay, you know, this is what you could do, and if for those that know me, I'm happy to talk about business, about starting like careers and how to get things you want through business. I love talking about business, so I'm always happy to offer advice, but the amount of people that actually follow up and take some action, do something about it, is so small. You know, I know, I think I've given advice to so many people. I know maybe 1 or 2 people that have taken any action at all to get what they want. And at the end of the day, that's the difference. You know, I see a lot of people, they'll be in a situation where they don't get to snowboard as much as they want or whatever, and then they'll complain. They'll say, you know, this system sucks. Why do we have to work 9 to 5 and blah, 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 you know, like, I don't like my job. Why does the government take so much money from me? If this happened, then I wouldn't have to work as much. I could go snowboarding, whatever it is. You know, they just look at it as trying to find excuses. But for me, you want to know what I see in the people that make it is that not only do they take action, they go for what they want and they look for the solution. So if they have a problem, they say, hey man, I can't snowboard every day, but I want to, you know, they start looking for the plan. They're like, okay, what do I have to do? This is what I have to do. I'm going to take this step, then I'm going to take that next step, then I'm going to do this. And if this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. So, you know, they make a plan and they take action. So it's not about making excuses. It's about looking at the situation and saying, how do I win in this situation and get what I want? And that's what a lot of people don't do. At least that's what I see personally. So yeah, let's move on to another topic. So I've talked a lot about that in the past, so I don't want to bore you guys. And yeah, so I mean, if you guys are interested in that business end of things and how to basically make money doing what you love and travel and all that. As I said last podcast, I'm working on another website that's going to be dedicated just to that side of things because I don't want to mix it up with all the snowboard stuff. So just stay tuned to Snomie. I'll announce it at some point when it's ready. So let's talk about the one thing I did with my snowboarding that made me a way better rider. And it's not something a lot of people realize. And what it is just getting my snowboard instructor certificate. And why it made me such a better rider is that becoming a snowboard instructor teaches you how to look at your riding and analyze it, basically. So before I got into instructing, I didn't know what I was doing wrong a lot of the times. If I couldn't make something happen, if the board wasn't turning fast enough, if something wasn't working with my riding, I'd just be confused. I'd be thinking, okay, I don't know what's going wrong. But after you learn a bit of instructing and you teach others and you learn how snowboarding works, basically how turning works, how tricks work, it becomes a lot more of you're not confused. You know what you're doing wrong, even if you're doing it wrong, and then you can fix it. So that's why I think, honestly, even if you don't use your instructor certification, just become a level 1 instructor and doing that 2-3 day course or whatever it is nowadays to become certified teaches you so much about snowboarding and just teaches you so much about what you can do to improve your own snowboarding. And I've always said one of the best ways to improve your own riding is to teach other people. And when you're teaching them the right way, you're learning how things work, you just naturally improve as a rider yourself. So that's something that's worked. That's been amazing for me anyway. Once you do that early, that even just your level 1 certification, you start looking at snowboarding differently and you start recognizing the mistakes, and you can even just watch other riders on the hill and say, okay, that guy's doing that wrong, that guy's doing that wrong, and you just know, and it just helps. That's why I think it's one of the most valuable things that I've ever done, is just getting into the instructing side of things. Even though nowadays I don't even instruct that much anymore. I'm so dedicated to the Snomie side of things that I do all the online instruction. I can't really do the offline instruction because, honestly, it doesn't scale very well. So, sometimes I get messages from people who want to do, a lesson in Whistler or whatever it is. But the thing is, it's just such a poor use of time sometimes because you can only instruct so many people physically. And online it's so much easier for me to do it online where I can help so many more people rather than trying to individually teach each person one by one, So I think that's pretty much all the topics I got for this week. And I know Avren from Angry Snowboarder might be listening to this because he had a topic suggestion for me, but Avren, we're going to have that topic when I have JP on the podcast, I think. JP would be the guy who may have experience in this matter, at least more experience than me in this matter that on the topic that he suggested. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And, if you need any show notes or you want to know about the topics I talked about on this podcast, then drop by the blog. The show notes are at snomie.com/episode 5. And remember, if you guys are ever interested in expanding your freestyle snowboarding, getting a few free lessons, and maybe you don't have the money to do in-person lessons like the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 camps on hill, then sign up for the snomie.com free lessons. So you can go to snomie.com/snowboard trick secrets. And that will let you sign up for our free lesson series. You guys can get started. It gives you a bunch of free butter trick tip tutorials like how to do presses, ollie, nollie, how to do 180 and 270 sliding presses on the ground, things like that. It's just our intro to freestyle, basically. So if you guys are interested in that program is stopping soon, so I'm changing things up. But for now, it's available to anyone. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Snomie Podcast. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.